Hello and welcome back to Armchair Armory. It's been a while. Just about 2 weeks, possibly 3 since I last spoke to you guys. Yeah, here we are, the end of the season, and thank God, because it has been a poor season so far. Well, a poor season in general. We finished the season with a 2-0 win over Brighton, and we finish 8th in the table, which isn't great, really. I mean, it's basically no improvement on last season. We finished 8th last season. Let me actually have a look and see what our tally was like last season. Our points total, I should say. So we finished on 56 in 1920, and this season we finished 61. So we've had a points improvement, which isn't really saying very much. But yeah, I mean, you could say that's progress in a way, but is that just me being deluded and, accepting the mediocrity, accepting that maybe it is me saying that this is where we are at the moment. In general, I feel as if there have been times where we've had bad luck and refereeing decisions haven't gone our way. I think of the Wolves game, for example, where David Luiz was sent off for basically the player tripping over his knee by accident. Things like this I definitely see as bad luck, but there are things throughout the season that you could narrow down to different things. You could narrow it down, as I said, to bad refereeing, narrow it down to the players just not being up for it. You can even narrow it down to Mikel Arteta and his decisions, particularly highlighting the Villarreal game, the second leg in particular. That's definitely something that you can turn around and say you question his decisions there. But really and truthfully, the main problem I believe is with Arsenal is the ownership, and it has been since they came in. It's been the problem. Wenger kept the boat afloat, so to speak, keeping us in the Champions League. And that first year that we fell out of the top 4 and were in the Europa League, that was the beginning of the end, basically. Unai Emery comes in, tries to reinvigorate that steadying of the ship, does a decent job to start off with, made some terrible decisions that cost us top 4. Although he did get us to a European final, he got us to the Europa League final. We get battered by Chelsea. We go into the next season and he loses the dressing room. We start losing games. We start dropping points. And we bring in Mikel Arteta. And to be honest, I think I've said this before, and I've said this to people off of the channel, that I was very underwhelmed when we were linked with him, when we were linked with Mikel Arteta. We were linked with him before Unai Emery was appointed as well. And I was kind of like, is it just Arsenal trying to follow a trend? Because Chelsea had appointed Frank Lampard at that point. Man United obviously had Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And it's kind of like, are Arsenal just trying to follow suit? Like, let's just bring in an ex-player that's had some coaching experience and see how he goes. I was always sceptical when he came in. Or before he came in, I was sceptical because I thought this is his first job, and as much as he may tout that he loves the club and all this kind of stuff, I just thought everything that comes with the bad running of the club, like the stupid transfer policy, the deluded and toxic fan base, and I'm sorry to say it, Arsenal fans, you are part of the problem as well. Yeah, I knew it was a poison chalice, so I was always skeptical. I was always like, this isn't going to last very long. He came in December 2019. The first game was a draw against Bournemouth, I believe. And there were things that you could see that were different. You could see that we were trying to concede less goals. We were trying to defend better. And we had, in terms of attacking at that point, we looked towards the end of like the 1920 season, give or take what happened at the start of Project Restart and all that. In some places, we looked like our old self, Then COVID happens, with Mikel Arteta actually being the first kind of high-profile person in the game to get COVID. The seasons get shut down. We come back in July. Was it July? June or July, I think it was. The season came back, and we lose that first game to Manchester City. And, all hell breaks loose again, and it's like, oh, is he the right guy, and all this kind of stuff. And then somehow we go and win the FA Cup. 2 brilliant performances against Man City and Chelsea in the semi-final and final respectively, and we somehow, in Arteta's first 6 months in charge, or not even 6 months, like 3 months in charge, he wins a trophy. And then we go on to this season, the 2021 season, and we start it off reasonably well. The first thing that happens is we have a Community Shield game against Liverpool, who are the Premier League champions of the previous season. And we go and win. We go and win that game on penalties. And it gives you hope that a novice manager comes in, and we go on and win a pretty major trophy in the FA Cup, a major domestic trophy, and then kind of the curtain raiser of the Premier League. And again, I think we performed really well that game as well. Then obviously in the summer, we bring in Gabriel, we bring in Thomas Partey, and we bring in Willian. People are thinking, yeah, the business isn't too bad. We sold Emi Martinez, which a lot of people weren't very happy about. Yeah, but obviously coming off the back of an FA Cup win and the 5-4 win on penalties, you could easily turn around and say, well, it's not too bad at this moment in time. So we start the league, and at this point, it feels like such a long time ago now, and at this point we go on to win. We go on to basically batter Premier League new boys for the season, Fulham 3-0, where Willian starts and puts on a brilliant kind of like offensive performance. I think he had 2 assists in that game, and things were looking good. We thought we had like the Willian left off from Chelsea, because the season we were signing him off of was probably one of his best seasons for Chelsea. So it was pretty good. So then we fast forward a few months, picking up a few points here and there, and then we get to November the 1st, where we play Manchester United at Old Trafford, where we haven't won for donkey's years, and we go and win that game. We win it 1-0, kind of a very good defensive performance, but we won it all the same, 1-0, Aubameyang penalty. And again, it was another inkling for me that was like, maybe something is changing, maybe Arteta is the guy, but something is happening here. He's doing things that like Emery couldn't do, and towards the end Wenger couldn't do. It was crazy. We were also obviously in the Europa League, chugging along. We hadn't lost in the group stages, and then we played Aston Villa at the Emirates, where we got absolutely battered by them. It's probably one of the worst performances of the season. And that was kind of the early signs. I can't remember. The main thing with Arteta is that his substitution decisions were really suspect. He would either make them too late, or he would just do a like for like, or he wouldn't do anything inventive. And I feel a lot of it is because he just panics, and I think that's down to his inexperience. Yeah, it was just a really bad performance against Villa. I'm trying to think, because a lot of these games I don't remember everything that happened. But yeah, another significant one is obviously the Carabao Cup, when we played Manchester City and Runarsson was in goal. Again, that was another bad decision by Arteta. And this is the thing that I think is slightly, I wouldn't even say mental, but like it's just some of the decisions he made. This period in November was probably like the worst I've ever seen as an Arsenal fan since 1997. And granted, I became an Arsenal fan in the good times. This was probably the worst I've seen Arsenal. I think Tottenham at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when we lost 2-0, I think that's where a lot of people really did start to question Arteta. I know a lot of the big accounts and a lot of the YouTubers started to say, that's it, I'm done with him. Everyone had gone into the camp of like, he ain't good enough, this, that and the other. We lost to Burnley, we drew with Southampton, lost to Everton, and then we came to the Carabao Cup game against Manchester City after knocking out Liverpool in the previous round again on penalties. And as I said, like Runarsson was in goal and he had a howler. He had a complete and utter howler, and kind of made the decision to sign him stupid. He's definitely inexperienced, which is why when we come to the January transfer window, this is kind of where I have to give, Edu and Mikel Arteta some plaudits. We then come to Boxing Day, which is always significant for me because this was the day that some people on YouTube were saying this is the game where Arteta's going to get sacked. At this point, I think we were like 15th or 16th or something like that. I think we were at this point. Boxing Day comes along and we're playing Chelsea at the Emirates, and this was Frank Lampard was still there at that time, and already Arteta had not lost to Frank. Well, he'd only lost one to Frank Lampard basically since Lampard had been manager, and it was an unbelievable performance. So, we were 3-0 up pretty well. We were 2-0 up at half time and then 3-0 up by the hour mark. It was a brilliant performance, and then it's where you start thinking, have we turned a corner? We then went to the Amex Stadium a week later, which is another place that's like really, really difficult to go to, or has been really difficult to go to lately. I think of the Malpai situation with Bernd Leno last season, or the season previous, because we're now in last season, and we won that 1-0. Good fought win there. We then, just after New Year's Day of 2021, we went to West Brom at the Hawthorns and put in another great performance. I remember particularly Kieran Tierney scoring a brilliant goal and being amazing that day. We won that 4-0. Beat Newcastle. I remember being really pissed off during the Crystal Palace game, actually. That was Newcastle in the FA Cup, wasn't it? Yeah. We beat Newcastle twice. I can't remember, but I remember being very annoyed with the home game against Palace. And then we came across Southampton in the FA Cup, and this is another kind of like milestone of where people started to question the manager, because it was just a lackluster performance. It was what we were sort of suffering from, and a part of the reason why the kind of October-November form was so bad was because we had no creativity. We couldn't get the ball to Lacazette. We couldn't get the ball to Aubameyang. We couldn't score goals. We were a lot of the time, just running around like headless chickens. And following on from that, so we, in the January transfer window, we brought in Matty Ryan from Brighton on loan, the goalkeeper, which goes back to what I was saying about having someone to replace Runarsson. And then we brought in Martin Ødegaard on loan from Real Madrid. I think when we brought him in, well, actually, no. Before he even played, the thing that made the difference against Chelsea, I think that sort of turned our fortunes around, was Arteta decided to play Emile Smith-Rowe in that number 10 position, and that's how we ended up, performing so well against Chelsea. Then I think later on Ødegaard came into the team and started performing as well. It was a good draw against Manchester United. A good 0-0 at the Emirates. And then, so February. And I think is where I started Armchair Armory was actually in the Southampton game. The Southampton Premier League game. So the draw with Manchester United, and then we come to Wolves, where it was basically sod's law incarnate. It was basically like anything that could go wrong for Arsenal went wrong, essentially. David Luiz got sent off. They won. They weren't exactly brilliant, Wolves, on the night, but they took the lead for a world-class strike and managed to hold on to it, and that's how they won. Then we lost to Aston Villa at Villa Park due to a Granit Xhaka mistake, if I remember correctly. That was Matt Ryan's first game for us. We beat Leeds, which was the first time I'd seen Aubameyang play well. And then, Europa League. We were in the second round at this point, the round of 32. And it was another sort of like lackluster performance, really. We just about got away with it. We came back to the Emirates to play Manchester City, which again was another lackluster performance where, Raheem Sterling got a goal early on and we didn't really offer anything. We gave them too much respect. It was also another Arteta blunder, really, where I think he tried to play a false nine. I think Willian in the false nine position, and it just didn't work. Again, we just looked like we couldn't offer anything. We then went out to Athens, I believe, because it was still COVID was pretty bad at that time, and the Europa League games had to be played at neutral venues, and we managed to get. I remember it was an Aubameyang header in the last minute to win 3-2 and win 4-3 on aggregate. So we go through to the last 16. We then played Leicester at the King Power, and again, like Leicester have completely destroyed us at the King Power of recent. And again, Pepe and Willian, actually, like who started the game, they stepped up and got us out of there with a 3-1 win. I'll skip over Burnley. We then played Olympiacos in the last 16 of the Europa League. Pretty standard performance, really. Started off quite shaky, but managed to turn it around and come out with a 3-1 win. And then we played Tottenham at the Emirates, and this is another kind of like flash in the pan, excellent performance that we were kind of lucky to get a penalty to win the game, but I think we played well enough to win. I think we deserved to win that game, and I'm not just saying it because it was Tottenham, but they were awful that day. We then welcomed Olympiacos to the Emirates, and they beat us 1-0 on the night, but it didn't matter. It could have gone a lot worse, but luckily they were so poor that they couldn't capitalise on how poor we were, because it was just a toothless performance. It was boring as well. Oh my God, yeah, end of March, when we played on my youngest sister's birthday, we played West Ham United at the London Stadium. When I did the simulation for this, I lost 6-0. And I was really worried. I was like, "Oh, is this going to be what's going to happen?" Because a lot of the time, one thing I've had to overcome, I don't really like playing on FIFA. I don't really like playing games where I'm where I play like a fixture that's going to happen, because normally especially if I play like an Arsenal game that's going to come up, I normally jinx it. But I've kind of gotten over that now. I've kind of just accepted that like whatever will be at the end of the day. But yeah, so we were 3-0 down in the first 15 minutes. Terrible performance. 3-0 down at half time, and came back to draw the game 3-3. And it was a game of two hearts. It summed up our season, our inconsistency. A really poor, anger-inducing performance in the first half. To be 3-0 down in that way, you couldn't believe it. And then, a brilliant attacking performance. Ødegaard was on fire that day to draw 3-3. you know, a draw is not great, but still, you know, from 3-0 down, pulling it back to 3-3 is still a good thing. I'll skip over Liverpool because we always lose to them most of the time. And then then we come to the last 8 of the quarterfinals of the Champions League. That's a Freudian slip there. The Europa League against Slavia Prague, who this game was filled with controversy. In the previous round, they played Rangers. They knocked out Rangers, and one of their players was accused of, or I don't know if he was actually found guilty, but he's been banned for like 10 games or something for allegedly racially abusing Glenn Kamara, who's an ex-Arsenal academy, or an ex-Arsenal player. It must have been for the academy, but yeah. So this was a big thing, and you know how football fans like to virtue signal. So yeah, there was a lot riding on this. We took the lead through Pepe, and then I think in the dying minutes of extra time, they dying minutes of added time in injury time, they scored from a corner. Or from a free kick, I can't remember, but it was almost like they'd lost, because obviously the idea was that we were playing against racists, which for me it's just like you can't go around like just accusing a team of being racist just because one guy was racist. Punish that guy, not the whole team. Back in the league, we then beat Sheffield United. I remember that being a decent performance as well. And then it was obviously the away leg in Prague, and we absolutely obliterated them 4-0. So after that, I think I named this video, my review of this, as very leggy and very Eddie. And I think Eddie Nketiah scored in the dying minutes of injury time equaliser in this game. And we were poor, like really poor, like just so bad. Then we played Everton at the Emirates. Bernd Leno, and this is where I started to get pissed off with the constant inconsistency. Leno made a mistake allowing Richarlison to score, and we looked lackluster, looked like we couldn't do anything, and we lost 1-0. We then go into the first leg against Villarreal, and Arteta tries to play a false 9 in that game as well, and we end up with conceding 2 goals quite quickly. Pepe gets a penalty towards the end of the game, which gives us a lifeline going into the home leg at the Emirates. And a lot of people, even like pundits, were saying, I can't see Arsenal not going through. But yeah, we'll see. So we beat Newcastle, and then we come back to Villarreal at the Emirates, and this was, for me, probably worse than the performance against Aston Villa. This was like the worst performance ever. It just looked like from the moment we started, we looked scared, we looked legless, we looked devoid of ideas. Arteta didn't know what he was doing. It's just nothing worked. It was just making really silly decisions. Like Aubameyang, who had hit the post twice, he takes off for Nketiah, who at the best of times doesn't really do anything. And we go out 2-1 on aggregate, and Villarreal went on to win the tournament. So Unai Emery must have done something right. And this is what I'm saying. With Unai Emery, I feel like I judged the guy too soon. I feel like if he was given more time, maybe he could have done something. But it just goes to show, when he can get his ideas across and get his philosophies across, his team perform for him, to the point of where he's now won Villarreal the first trophy in their history, beating Manchester United, who were like 10 times better than them. God. And then obviously in typical Arsenal fashion, and this is why I find it funny that people seem to think that this kind of thing is only unique to Arteta. It's been going on even during Wenger's time, where we'd be out of every single competition and then somehow finish the season strong, And this is what happened here. Last 4 games of the season, sorry. We beat West Brom, beat Chelsea, at the Bridge. That was a good defensive performance. We beat Crystal Palace 3-1 at Selhurst Park, and obviously, as I mentioned at the beginning, we beat Brighton 2-0 on the last day of the season. We did what we needed to do, but results didn't go our way, which is why we ended up 8th. And all in all, it was a poor season. It's probably the worst I've seen Arsenal for a long time. And for next season, it puts serious doubts, or not even serious questions over Arteta. I think if it carries on into next season, he's not going to be here for very long. And this is why I feel it's really important, because that's the thing. Like if we don't sign players, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but if we don't sign players in the ilk of a Emi Buendia or an Yves Basuma or Max Aarons or someone like that, you know, to replace the players that are probably going to go out, like, then you have the excuses, oh, well, the squad's not good enough. But if he gets those players and we're still playing this inconsistent way, he's not going to last very much longer. And to be honest, like, if I think about it really, I didn't think he was going to last this long. You know, I wasn't surprised when Chelsea sacked Lampard and brought in Thomas Tuchel. I wasn't surprised that now they've ended up, you know, back in the Champions League places and winning the Champions League. I see all this debate going on about they're now the biggest club in London. Well, in terms of success in the last 20 years, probably, yeah. But in terms of fan base and in terms of history, you're not bigger than Arsenal. So without Abramovich, you'd basically be Millwall. So go off yourselves. Yeah, so it's been a poor season. Been a really, really poor season. Yeah, really, really poor season. That's all I can say, really. And I'm not going to sit here and campaign for the manager to go or anything like that. I'm just going to say that, you know, we need to make sure that we back the team no matter what, and then let's see what happens. I mean, that's the thing. After Villarreal, I thought I wouldn't be surprised if the board sacked Arteta. But at the same time, I knew they wouldn't. And this is why I'm not going to sit there saying, he has to go. And all these, you know, everyone on you, even the ones that were Arteta in, are now saying he shouldn't be there. And it's kind of like, well, he is there. So until he goes, shut up. Back the team, regardless. But anyway. Well, all right. In terms of going forward, so we have people to get rid of, or people to sell and people to keep. So let's just get straight into it. So Bernd Leno, I actually like Bernd Leno as a keeper. I think we should keep him personally. I don't think it's a good idea. I think he's decent. I think his distribution could be better, but I think he's a decent keeper. He's the best keeper we've had for a while. I don't like this people saying that we should replace him with Onana. If Onana is the same keeper that I remember when Ajax got to the Champions League semi-final, he was erratic as fuck, if I remember correctly. So we'll see there. Runarsson, I think, should be sent out on loan. He's too raw for first team football at the moment. I think it's all but nailed on that Matt Ryan is going to be staying, and I think he's a good backup. I would have actually had, because he kind of reminds me a little bit of Emi Martinez, so I would have probably possibly even started him ahead of Leno for a couple of games. Defenders, Bellerin's going to go. Tierney definitely keep, future Arsenal captain if we can keep him. You know, it's very hard to keep a player like Kieran Tierney when you're not in the Champions League or you're not in European football. I mean, obviously we're going to keep him for this season, but there'll be a point, if he continues the way he is, he's going to be hard to keep. He's going to be hard to keep. Gabriel I'd keep for now. Even though towards the end of the season he was kind of inconsistent, I still think he's good enough. Rob Holding, I actually like Rob Holding, to be fair. Again, he's kind of inconsistent, but I don't think he's that bad. Cedric also, I don't think is that bad. I think he gets scapegoated a lot of the time just because of the fact he came from Southampton. I think that's the problem with Arsenal fans, is that we're too snobby sometimes. Oh, he came from Southampton, he's not good enough. Like, yeah, he's to me he's not really performed that badly. In a few of the Europa League games he did, but he's not performed that badly. I feel like with Chambers is coming to an end. I think his Arsenal career. He's had a few decent performances towards the end of the season, but I don't feel he's going to be here for very much longer. Obviously, David Luiz is gone, and Pablo Mari, decent defender. We should probably keep hold of him for now. Saka, no brainer. Again, he's going to be someone that's going to be really hard to keep. Dani Ceballos has gone back. Martin Odegaard. Now this is a weird one. I would not pay £60 million for Martin Odegaard personally, if I was running Arsenal Football Club, but you never know. This is the thing, like I'd rather see a new player come in, because I think Odegaard's good, but he's not the answer. I think he's sort of inconsistent. Like he's good, but you know, he could be better. And I feel like if we got someone like a Buendia or a Hassim Awar or someone like that, that's an attacking midfielder that's a lot more proven than someone like Odegaard. So I don't know, I'm in two minds. Partey is obviously not going anywhere, and I hope he's an Arsenal lifer. And El Neni I think we should sell. Even though I don't mind El Neni, I think we should probably sell him. Emile Smith-Rowe, I don't know, maybe people can tell me, but I don't know if he signed a new contract yet, but I've heard that he's going to sign a new contract. But yeah, I'd keep Smith-Rowe. Granit Xhaka, I would say keep Granit Xhaka, but I feel like he's going to go. I think he's been trying to get out of the club for at least 2 years since the incident at Crystal Palace under Emery when he told the fans to fuck off at the Emirates. I feel like he's been trying to get out for a while. So I hear Roma are interested. Jose Mourinho, who's going to be taking over Roma at the start of next season. So yeah, I feel like he is going to go. I'd be upset because I feel he's underrated. I feel people just look at his negatives and don't think at how well we play when he's playing alongside Partey. But yeah, Granit Xhaka is probably going to go. Forwards, so Lacazette again is a tough one. I'll come back to Lacazette. Willian is probably going to go. Aubameyang obviously will keep. Pepe, I think, needs more time, so I would keep him. Nelson and Nketiah, I think they need to move on, either on loan or be sold. I think I've heard that Reece Nelson is being loaned out to Olympiacos, or is in talks to be loaned out to Olympiacos. I haven't heard anything with Eddie Nketiah, but I think they're just not getting it. Especially if we bring in another striker, I don't think another attacking player. I don't think they're going to be way back in the pecking order. Martinelli, I'd keep again because he's got potential. But I just hope that he improves on what he's already done, because I don't see what everyone else sees. I don't think he's like this amazing talent that's going to come on and win you a game. I think he's still raw, and I still think he needs time to develop. And then we look at the loans, the people we've got loaned out. So William Saliba, I'd bring back, at least give him a chance. If anything, give him a chance. He can't be that bad. He can't be as bad as Mustafi, for example. Kolasinac I'd sell. Mavropanos, I think we are going to sell him, but I don't know. I mean, from what I saw of him, he didn't seem too bad, to be fair. But again, he's made a few mistakes out there in Stuttgart, and I don't know. I think I'd move him on at this point. Torreira, I think it just didn't work out towards the end, so I feel like he's probably gone. Maitland-Niles. Now, I like Maitland-Niles. I got a soft spot for Ainsley, because I think when he wants to, he can play really well. But I think he has a bit of an attitude about him that, he doesn't want to play as a wing back, and that really shows sometimes. And it makes me think, if that is his attitude, should he go and play for someone that's going to give him that opportunity? like where he is on loan at West Brom at the moment. I don't know, but I do like Ainsley. Joe Willock. I don't think I'm fooled by this, that people saying they want him back because he scored 7 in 7 for Newcastle. And again, I think he's a decent player. He put Mesut Ozil to shame in the Europa League final against Chelsea. And I think he's got potential. But I just get the feeling if we recall him and bring him back, he'll just, if we bring in someone like Buendia, he won't be playing in front of Buendia, put it that way. So I don't know. And then Guendouzi I think he's almost all but set to go to Marseille in the next week or so. So that's answered that. But going back to Lacazette, I mean, I think he's got 2 years left on his contract. There are people that are interested in him. I heard Juve were interested in him. I'm not too sure. I'd keep Lacazette, to be honest, because I can't see us getting a striker this summer. I think the main areas we're going to look at is probably... I think the main areas we're probably going to look at is... I feel like the goalkeeper situation is going to change. I think, and it looks like we're close to signing Onana, as much as I don't like the idea. I think if Bellerin goes, we definitely will get a right back, which I'm hoping is Max Aarons. I think we need another centre back. And a backup left back we need as well for Tierney, because I don't know if Cedric does well, or Cedric didn't do well when he was covering for Tierney, and that's why Xhaka had to go in there. Obviously Ceballos is gone. If we don't sign Martin Odegaard, which I'm hoping we don't, just because I don't want to pay out that money when you can get Buendia for 40 million. We need a kind of mainstay central attacking midfielder. We need a kind of box-to-box midfielder, someone like a Basuma to go alongside Partey. That's if like Granit Xhaka leaves. And I think even if Granit Xhaka leaves, we'll probably need backup for a Basuma, for example, to play in that position. But I think what will happen is that we'll sign kind of like, if Xhaka goes, we'll sign someone like Basuma, but keep El Neni as like a backup behind, because that's what El Neni is, basically, a squad player. And then we are linked with strikers like Edouard from Celtic, and I think we were linked with Ivan Toney from Brentford at one point, but I don't think he's going to go anywhere now that Brentford have been promoted. So yeah, we'll just have to see. We'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, that's the season. Poor overall. 4 out of 10 season, 3 out of 10 season, that kind of level. Big improvements needed. After Chelsea winning the Champions League, as I mentioned earlier, it puts in perspective. It does, even though I don't necessarily agree that like a better manager would have done anything better with this current squad. It does put egg on our face, that they sacked Lampard, brought in Tuchel, and they won the Champions League. It was annoying because I knew that the Arteta out brigade would be creaming over that. They'd be like, "Yeah, see, told you." It's crazy. But yeah, I'm just going to do what I always do next season. I'm going to back the team, and whatever decision they decide to make with Arteta, I'm going to try and just like deal with it at the end of the day, because that's all we can do. Like I keep saying, people can shout and scream Arteta out and say that he's a fearfuck and all this kind of stuff, and that he's clueless, and call him, what is it they call him, tapas pulis or whatever. They can make claims to jump on the bandwagon of identity politics to try and make people hate him and call him a racist and all this kind of stuff for whatever reason they say. But he's not going to be sacked until the club want him to be sacked, plain and simple. Which is an argument in itself, because I still stand by a lot of Arsenal fans in terms of the problem is the Cronkies, the problem is KSE, and again, they'll go when they want to go. If they don't want to sell to Daniel Ek, they won't sell to Daniel Ek. It's the only way that you're And I'm not condoning violence, but the only way you're going to get rid of them is by really and truthfully. But I wouldn't advocate for that in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying. But yeah, let's see what happens. Hopefully next season is a bit more enjoyable than this season. But yeah, it's been a fun couple of months. I know I started halfway through the season doing this series, but I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed, sitting there sort of like a pundit. I mean, I'm not the most knowledgeable person when it comes to like football formations and passages of play and that kind of thing, but I enjoy the game for what it is and for its entertainment and for the drama and the pageantry of it, and to sit here and be able to talk about football and talk about the team that I've loved for many, many years is an absolute privilege. And I'm hoping to build on kind of my knowledge and what I've done so far for the new season. Hopefully pick up a few subscribers on the way, and let's see what happens next season. But yeah, for those of you that have listened, the kind of 10 or 12 people that have listened over this since I started this, thank you for listening. It's been a privilege, and I hope you enjoyed it, and look forward to speaking more about this kind of stuff next season. So in summary, as I said, it was a poor season. I suppose that if I had to take any positives, it would be that we managed to get out a few dead rubbers, Mustafi, Ozil, Kolasinac, to name a few. Then we seem to defend a lot better now in certain circumstances, and our record against the top six is pretty good now. The negatives would be Arteta's decision making, Arteta's substitutions. Willian was an awful signing. Runarsson was an awful signing. And in general, for the Villarreal second leg and that period in October, November was diabolical. But yeah, that's it. As I said, let's see what happens next season. See you then. Take care. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. This is Deepeye signing out.